Hi everyone, I'm Lakeisha.
Hi everyone, I am Po Chan.
Hi, this is Jason Fuentes.
Hi, my name is Dana Marin.
Hey everybody, I'm Gregg.
Hi, my name is Okey Uchendu.
Hey everybody, it's Gregg Milhaupt, and on behalf of Group 1 in IST 609, I'd like to welcome you to our case study on Volkswagen. Today, Po will be going over the history, the facts, and the general issues. Then Okey will take over and go over the main stakeholders and theory and concepts. Then I'll jump in there and go over the symptoms and problems before Po jumps back in and goes over the alternatives and evaluation criteria. Then Lakeisha will jump in and go over the best solution and implementation plan. Jason will hop in there and go over the evaluation and review of the project before Dana closes us out with her current status update, and then we'll play a little video for you. Hope you guys enjoy.
History of Volkswagen. Volkswagen was founded in 1937 by Ferdinand Porsche in Germany. Its original target market was the general public, as the word Volkswagen translates to the people's car. The Volkswagen Beetle, also known as the VW Bug, was designed in 1938 and by the 1940s had become Volkswagen's signature car. Sales of the Beetle rose to the 40s and 60s and reached its peak in 1969. The Beetle still remains the #1 selling car of all time. Volkswagen of America operates under the Volkswagen Group umbrella. After hitting its peak in 1969, Volkswagen's North American sale has experienced peaks and valleys throughout the 70s through the late 90s, as shown on this graph. According to the case study, it seemed that some mid-level managers within Volkswagen had fallen into an unhealthy habit of waiting for the next round of new models to rescue them from the present difficulties. The executives at Volkswagen wanted to break this cyclical pattern of sales. Volkswagen developed more proactive methods after hitting its low point in 1997. Volkswagen has experienced a constant sales increase in North America ever since. Volkswagen Group manufactures cars under the Audi, Bentley, Lamborghini, Seat, and Volkswagen brand. In 2001, Chairman Dr. Pete Reeder repositioned Volkswagen's lines of vehicles into two lines of brands. The classic brand will consist of vehicles from Volkswagen, Bentley, and Skoda, while the sporty brand consisted of vehicles from Audi, Seat, and Lamborghini. This meant that Volkswagen of America went from importing 9 vehicle models into 22 different vehicle models. To prepare for this, CEO Gerd Claus initiated the NRG program. NRG stands for Next Round of Growth. NRG aimed to prepare Volkswagen for the increased vehicles it had to support through its newly redefined goals. Functions and organizational changes needed to be made in order to support this new product diversification strategy. NRG aimed to make support processes such as HR, finance, public affairs, and legal as robust as possible in order to support Volkswagen's core processes such as sales, marketing, logistics, and after-sales service. Facts. The IT department at Volkswagen was seen as a department with low priority. Volkswagen considered IT a source of overhead and provided very little funds to it. Its first attempt to fix IT was in 1992, where Volkswagen of America entered into a 10-year agreement with Perot Systems, an IT service provider, to handle all of the company's IT needs. Volkswagen of America cut its IT staff to just 10 people and virtually eliminated all the IT knowledge within the company. Realizing that Volkswagen did not possess enough IT knowledge, they slowly built up their IT department back up to 28 people. Its second attempt to fix IT was in 1999. Volkswagen Group created Gitas USA to oversee the IT operations of its North American branch. In 2002, when the parole contract ended, Gitas USA would take over all the IT functions for Volkswagen of America. Even though Gitas USA was a subsidiary of Volkswagen Group, Volkswagen of America was still kept at an arm's distance from its IT knowledge. Between 1999 and 2002, Perot Systems, Gitas USA, and the newly formed e-business team worked on rebuilding the IT environment, but it was evident that the IT function was not functioning optimally. Volkswagen of America felt that the IT projects were plagued with cost and scheduling issues. Its third attempt to fix IT, the leaders of Volkswagen decided that a new business unit needed to be created to strictly handle IT-related issues. Dr. U. Matulovic left Volkswagen Group to become the CIO of Volkswagen of America and set out to create a new internal IT department called BPTO, which stands for Business, Processes, Technology, and Organization. General issues. Volkswagen had 10 business units with 40 proposed IT projects. In order to complete all these projects, it would require $210 million. The IT budget, however, was only set to $60 million. This presented a challenge to Volkswagen. With the limited budget on IT projects, which projects should be greenlighted? Now, Okey Uchendu will present to you the main stakeholders.
Thanks, Paul. Main stakeholders. The first stakeholders we're going to discuss is the internal stakeholders. These include the board of directors, like the CEO. Then we have the staff members, which includes all employees, from IT staff and accountants to mechanics and factory workers. Next are the executives, which include the Chief Information Officer, the CIO, and the executive leadership team. Also among internal stakeholders is Gitas USA, which was created to consolidate IT operations within the global Volkswagen Group of companies. Next, we're going to talk about the external stakeholders. These include the shareholders, the customers, the suppliers, distributors and dealerships, lending institutions, and Perot Systems, which was an external partner serving as an IT service provider. The IT operations was later taken over by Gitas USA after expiration of their contract in 2002. Theory and concepts. On the concepts, we have the new product diversification strategy that required creating a portfolio that matched the global demand for vehicles. Next concept is IT governance. Organizations need ways to ensure that IT efforts, skills, and investments are not squandered on low priority activities, while higher priority needs suffer for lack of effort. The IT governance concept leads us to the next couple of concepts. And the first is project delivery. Project delivery requires that there should be measures to ensure that projects deliver on their promised benefits in a cost-effective manner. Volkswagen of America was concerned that IT expenses and projects seemed to be plagued with schedule and cost overruns, which affected delivery of projects. Next is resource management. Insufficient staff or inadequate skills and expertise among existing IT staff are among the most prominent concerns of organizations. Volkswagen between 1992 and 2002 outsourced its IT operations to Perot Systems, dramatically reducing its internal IT staff, which also eliminated most of the company's internal IT knowledge. Over the next few years, the company realized this was a big mistake and progressively built up the internal IT department back to around 28 employees. Under capabilities, we have the creation of the new Business Process, Technology and Organization Unit, BPTO. This business unit was created because IT management was shared amongst multiple providers with no single organizational unit in control of the overall process. BPTO was created to serve as a single point of governance for all IT issues. Additionally, the Project Management Office, PMO, was empowered to take over management of all IT projects. The main focus of the Project Management Office was to require more planning prior to the project execution phase and to require weekly status reports and monthly budget reviews for all projects. Next is the creation of the e-business team. The dramatic growth in the use of the internet in the 1990s led Volkswagen to set up the e-business teams for the purpose of creating digital marketing assets and interacting with customers in a new way. High-level business architecture, which was termed a blueprint, provided a means of categorizing organizational activity, including IT projects, and relating them to the company's strategy. This played an important role in formalizing governance and prioritizing processes. Then the creation of Gregg USA. This unit was created to consolidate IT operations within the global Volkswagen group of companies by administering the outsourcing contract with Perot Systems and ultimately assuming the overall IT operations at the expiration of the Perot outsourcing contract. Finally, under values, we have better project prioritization, supply flow optimization, increased new vehicle value, and increased revenue through product diversification strategy. Coming up next is Gregg to present the symptoms and problems.
Thanks for that information on theory and concepts, Okey. Now I will be discussing the symptoms and problems for Volkswagen of America, as well as the decision criteria to help determine how serious these problems truly are. Volkswagen of America's largest problem was that they were built with a foundation that never prioritized a strong IT department. As Poe mentioned earlier in the presentation, the IT department was merely more than just another overhead cost in the eyes of Volkswagen of America. Often they would underfund the department and continue to stretch for more cuts. The cutting and frugality would see its way to people as well, as the department was constantly low on people, even prior to the cuts after the Perot contract. Volkswagen of America placed such a low priority on IT that when Perot Systems bid a total IT outsource in 1992, they jumped at the deal because it would provide immediate cost savings. It is evident from these factors that Volkswagen of America had placed no priority in the IT department, unless of course the priority was cutting costs. This leads me to my two decision criteria. Number 1. Is constantly stretching the IT department for lower costs really paying off for Volkswagen of America? Number 2. Can a company as strong as Volkswagen of America continue to be successful with no respect for their IT department? The second problem for Volkswagen of America is their 10-year contract they entered with Perot Systems in 1992. While some may say that hiring an IT firm is a step in the right direction for prioritizing your IT department, in this case it is quite the opposite. With the signing of this new contract, all IT responsibility shifts to Perot Systems. This allows Volkswagen of America to conduct more downsizing of the internal department to once again reap cost savings. With the loss of so many in the internal department comes the elimination of large amounts of internal IT knowledge, intimate knowledge of systems that Perot just would not be capable of knowing early on. While Volkswagen of America did enter a major contract with an IT firm, thus IT entering the forefront, as it was soon unveiled, it was simply for financial gain. This again leads me to my two decision criteria questions. 1. Is the cost savings associated with the Perot Systems contract more valuable than the internal knowledge that was eliminated? Number 2. Can Perot Systems even perform to the level expected of an internal IT department and necessary for a company as large as Volkswagen of America? Now for my third and final problem for Volkswagen of America. Once they determined that they were not going to get by with an internal IT department, they tried to fix it. They implemented GetUs USA in what I would call a fake internal IT department. While GetUs USA was technically run by Volkswagen, they were run by Volkswagen Group and not Volkswagen of America. This left the IT department for Volkswagen of America short-handed even still. Now that GetUs USA is in place, and it is 1999, there's a 4-year period where GetUs USA and Perot Systems are both functioning, which runs up IT costs for Volkswagen of America. Also, just as with Perot, Volkswagen of America is continued to be in the mercy of others, as they are now at the mercy of GetUs USA and Volkswagen Group. Finally, this leads me to my last two decision criteria. Is an IT department created and run as a subsidiary truly as beneficial as an internal IT department? Will GetUs USA provide enough value to offset the large costs associated with their implementation? Alright everybody, thanks for listening to my symptoms and problems. Now I'm going to hand you off to Poe.
Thank you, Gregg. We present the following alternatives and evaluation criteria for Volkswagen. Alternative number 1, do nothing. Projects that fit within the IT budget will be selected with no prioritization. Pros: IT is able to stay within a capped budget, and each project has the same level of importance from IT's point of view. Cons: higher budgeted projects will not be approved and be ignored. Important projects that provide great benefits to the company may also be ignored. Bad projects may be approved, and complaints from the business units will remain high as they do not know the criteria that is needed for the projects to be approved. Alternative number 2, develop a project criteria system, and only projects that meet a certain preset criteria will be approved. Pros: IT is able to stay within a capped budget, and projects that are in line with the corporate strategies will be approved. Complaints from the business units will be kept at a minimum as they know the preset criteria they need to follow. Cons: some projects may never be approved. The evaluation criteria may not seem fair by certain business units, and complaints will continue to come from business units which projects haven't been approved. Alternative number 3, fund all the projects. All the submitted projects will be green-lighted, but this will require additional funding from the corporate headquarters. Pros: projects of all importance will be approved, and there will be no complaints from the business units in regards to the projects not being taken on. Cons: this would far exceed the IT cap budget and will require additional funding from the corporate headquarters. The workload of the IT department may be increased, which may lead to IT projects not being completed. Alternative number 4, outsource the IT projects. The project management office will still oversee the IT projects, but the execution will be outsourced. Depending on the time or the budget constraints, the fastest or the lowest price outsourced vendor may be chosen. Pros: IT is able to stay within a capped budget, and most projects will be completed. Complaints from the business units in regards to the projects not being taken on will be kept at a minimum. Cons: the IT knowledge from these projects will be outside of Volkswagen. The outsourced quality of work may not be on par with Volkswagen standard. Now Keisha will present to you the solution and implementation plan.
Thanks, Poe. As Poe explained during the alternatives and evaluation criteria, we felt that it was best to explain why some of those alternatives wouldn't work. So, alternative number 1, to do nothing. That wouldn't make sense because they will just be left with the same frustrated state that they're already in. So let's go ahead and cancel that out. Alternative number 3, fund all projects. Well, now that would just be too costly, and there's not already enough budget to allocate all the projects that's needed as of now. So that wouldn't work either. Alternative number 4, outsource the IT projects. Well, that could work, but it could also be very costly. And why not keep the IT projects in-house, which would be more of a benefit to Volkswagen? So that leaves us with alternative number 2, to develop a criteria system with utilizing the customized point solution process. So how will we do this? Number 1, the solution will help establish organization and place importance on urgency of each project. Number 2, the following solution will be to fall in line with the same ideal process as the net round growth project program. Number 3, continue to focus on organization to increase allocation budget for each project and reduce unnecessary expenses. Number 4, create a better communication flow amongst managers and stakeholders, and that can include stakeholders whether they're internal or external. But we want to make sure that the important factor here is that all parties are aligned with innovative projects. Which brings us to our implementation plan. So, in phase 1, Volkswagen of America will need to partner with both the GITIS consultants team, the business process, technology, and organization, which also is considered BPTO, through new internal IT departments with the NRG. They will discard any type of projects that are unnecessary and also eliminate disagreements, clear communication lines by establishing a blueprint for each project with diversification. In phase number 1, we want to use call-outs, certain projects, and also create workshops and mapping out functions for these different projects, whether they're major goals or analyzing projects that may link to other projects for any type of dependencies. By that I mean dependencies if the project was something that was important in the prior year and something that is necessary in the current year, we want to make sure that we take that into consideration as well, or the project could fail. So, we move on to phase number 2. So, in phase number 2, we want to make sure that we become transparent, so transparent as possible for each project. So, we want to make sure that we include detailed information. This will align the enterprise functions as well as establish important synergies. In phase number 2, the detailed projects will include something like this. The type of investments so that Volkswagen of America can understand the project. 2, the type of IT involvement that will assist projects, which is very important for Volkswagen to understand. The business, and then also the revenue generated results, risk-taking initiatives to create a competitive drive, then ranking each project by priority. In my opinion, this would work because you have Volkswagen as well as NRG aligned with everything, and so that would actually create more of a partnership than anything. Phase number 3. After each project is presented, then the top 3 projects, which then will be turned into 5 goal portfolios to meet the standards of the NRG program. Then after deliberation, the project will then be decided for complete accuracy. So in phase 3, the unit executives would see how the processes would be eliminated, and then also if any insufficient enterprise value, they would eliminate that as well. So that this creates awareness of the project, and that it also creates importance in reaching enterprise goals, because this will allow for more detailed questions that any of the consultants may have, as well as Volkswagen. So, with that said, I hope that explains a little bit of why we chose alternative number 2. Jason, take it from here. Thank you.
Thank you, Keisha. Now I'm going to share with you our review and evaluation of the case. Just to give you a brief review of the case, a key challenge to Volkswagen of America was to manage their IT priorities with a scarce budget. Along with a scarce budget, they had to choose IT priorities that align with corporate strategy. With a declining market in the United States, executives wanted to turn around the VW and Audi brands. Between 1992 through 2002, the strategy of Volkswagen of America was focused upon funding marketing and selling activities. This hurt VWoA because it was considered as a source of overhead and not as a tool to help them grow. So all the available funding went towards marketing and selling activities, and very little went towards IT. In an effort to reduce short-term IT costs, VWoA decided that in 1992 they would enter into a 10-year agreement with Perot Systems to outsource their IT. Perot would assume responsibility of the maintenance, repair, and operations of the IT functions. As a result, the IT staff was reduced to fewer than 10 people, and this eliminated much of the IT within the company and insufficient IT knowledge within VWoA to administer the outsourcing contract. Over the next 7 years, VWoA progressively built up their IT department to 28 employees. In 1999, a new Volkswagen group was created in the United States called GETUS USA. This group was the consolidator of IT operations within the global Volkswagen group of companies. GETUS assumed responsibility for IT operations and developed work for VWoA at the expiration of the Perot contract in 2002. Between 1999 and 2002, the IT function was not performing optimally within VWoA. No single organizational entity was in control of the overall process. This led to IT expenses on the rise and projects with costs and schedule overruns. In an effort to create a stable organizational solution, a new business unit within VWoA became the single point of governance for IT issues, led by Matt Ulovic. Matt Ulovic, however, was not an information technologist by training or experience. He reasoned that the major issues at VWoA was not related to technology, but rather ambiguity that surrounded the governance and development process. Milhaupt created a new business process technology organization composed of 23 people. He also empowered the Program Management Office to take over management of IT projects. So the right project to fund for VWoA was the NRG program. The NRG program was a different view of prioritization and funding to determine the most critical goals. Keeping with NRG goals, the Digital Business Council, DBC, recommended funding projects in order of goal portfolios. This method was the most practical and best choice to fund the various projects that needed attention. However, this choice led to an important problem within VWoA. The company global supply chain management objective was left partially funded, and there was insufficient money to do it. So the question is, does IT drive the business strategy? Or does business strategy drive IT? Prioritization of goals under NRG seemed to be the most effective method for funding projects. However, in the long term, we saw an important aspect of supply flow become unfunded. Take it away, Dana.
Thank you, Jason. The criterion system that Volkswagen has designed and used to decide which project to fund has served them well. It allowed Volkswagen to decide which projects to fund and which not to. This freed up valuable funds and time by the IT managers and has made possible the continued growth that we see today. Volkswagen continues to strengthen and grow in the first quarter of 2013 and passed into 2014. Sales rose 5.1% from 2012 into 2013. Sales revenue rose to 145.7 billion euros, January to September 2013. According to Dr. Winterkorn, chairman of the board of management of Volkswagen Aktienschaft, quote, "The Volkswagen Group's strong, broad positioning is our greatest strength, and this is paying off, particularly when times are difficult," end quote. He is confident that Volkswagen will continue to pick up speed and outperform the competitors. And as you can see from the stock chart, Volkswagen stock is growing nicely. The stock price has more than doubled in the past 2 years and continues to soar. Volkswagen is doing very well. IT is very important to Volkswagen, and they are proud to have an infrastructure that is energy efficient and resource friendly. They say green IT is not a buzzword, but their priority, their way of life. Volkswagen uses a digital factory where employees on the production line can build the right vehicle at the right time using FIS, which in English means Production, Information, and Control System. Volkswagen has established IT standards in the business arena, which has allowed them to run more efficiently. It is very important to Volkswagen that their IT continues to allow their operations to run smoothly and continue to be profitable. Volkswagen uses Supply On to unite Volkswagen and the suppliers. This keeps the suppliers and Volkswagen in constant and instant contact, allowing business to run smoothly and continue to grow. J.D. Power and Autotest gave Volkswagen 2 first-place prizes this year. In the J.D. Power Voss Vehicle Ownership Satisfaction Study, Volkswagen Touareg achieved the highest scores for satisfaction and received the first-place prizes. The new Golf Estate was chosen as the overall winner of the Gold Prize by the Autotest editorial office. Volkswagen has proven themselves to be major competitors in the auto industry, and look unstoppable at this point. Let's hope they continue on their winning streak. On behalf of my group and myself, we thank you for watching our presentation. Have a good day.